Hello and welcome everyone to this wonderful webinar. We've got 30 minutes with Discovery Health and Be in Touch talking about what parents need to know to keep kids safer online. My name is Josh Ramsey from beintouch.org.za, and together with my co-founder Kate Farina, we are family digital wellness activists. So what does that mean? Well, parents and kids are growing up today in a whole new world, and parents have an extra job that our parents, the last generation, didn't. Online parenting or digital parenting. What is that? Protecting, guiding, and mentoring our kids as they go and as they live online. And we get it. Parents are super busy. You've got 8 o'clock till 8:30. So I'm going to start my little timer because we've got 30 minutes to dig into what this digital parenting thing is and what you can do to keep your kids safer online. So we get it that parents are busy, and our job at Be in Touch and our partnership with Discovery is to try and make that job simpler for you. You know, what you need to know, what you need to do, and how to do it. And we are super glad that you are here and super glad that Discovery is leading the way in helping our parents deal with real issues that kids are facing. So we're very excited that we have this amazing resource, the Parenting Hub that Discovery has put together. It's a mental health, the Discovery Health Mental Health Information Hub. And, you know, it's part of Discovery's innovative mental health awareness campaign. And this is the first in a series of 6 webinars where we will be teaching you everything you need to know about digital parenting. We've got 6 amazing experts that we're going to be talking to, one of them later today. And the aim is to keep our kids safer and also saner in the online world, because they don't just go online, they live online. What is scrolling behind me over here is a preview of that mental health hub where you can go and click on articles, read through them, get the information that you need. We've got a whole bunch of resources that are on there. We've got videos that are going to be coming on there, you know, time and time again. We're going to be updating them. We've got a series of 10 YouTube videos coming. And we just want to make sure that you have the tools in your hands to make sure that you can take care of your kids. So, what is the roadmap for today? What are we doing? We're going to get very honest and very real about the digital landscape that your children are trying to make their way through. And then we're going to explore what it means for you to be a digital parent. So we do talks and run seminars in schools, and we collect data. We do surveys with kids about their mental health. And we have put together the Be in Touch 2021 report, a sample of which we're giving you today to let you know that it is your kid. And then from there, we're going to go and talk to McKenna, our digital wellness expert from the United States. We've got a recording of an amazing interview I did with him that we've spliced together to bring you all the best bits that we're going to be commenting on and summarizing. And remember, we're all about being practical. You'll see that in the chat, you can actually post questions. So please post questions into the chat. My co-founder, Kate, will be there posting links. And at the end of all of this, we're going to step out of this webinar with some practical tools, and you're going to be able to make a choice using our poll on what you're going to do next. So let's jump straight into the digital landscape that our kids are facing. So guys, this is a survey from over 1,000 students that we conducted this year. It's live data. And we work in schools across South Africa. We get learners from grade 4 to grade 11 to tell us what they're really experiencing. And this thing up here, not my kid, it is a real syndrome. Parents just think it's not my kid. My kid wouldn't fall for that. My kid wouldn't get cyberbullied. My kid wouldn't watch pornography. And unfortunately, these statistics tell us that that's just not true. These stats help us get insights into what our guts have been telling us as parents, that our kids need our help. So guys, we're not doing this to scare you. We're doing this so that you get active and not anxious about your digital parenting role. As you can see, over 55% of kids have a phone by age 10. Over 67% of them have social media by age 12. That is an adult platform built by adults for adults. We've got webinars coming up in the next couple of months that specifically look at social media, specifically at cyberbullying, stranger contacts, so we can get into what you can do about this. 64% of them have phones in rooms at night. We'll come back to why that is such a dangerous thing to have going on. 62% no parental controls. What is a parental control? We're going to learn about that in this webinar and in the YouTube clips that are going to follow up so that you know exactly the choices that you have. Cyberbullying via social media, 62% of that happening. So we got kids that are too young being on social media late at night with devices, and that's where the harm is happening. 82% of cyberbullying late at night. That's what our friend Chris McKenna calls the toxic trio, which we'll get into in just a moment. So we have to understand that our brains are not fully developed until we are 22 or 23, 24, 25 years old. So our kids are just not ready to deal with all the stuff that they are seeing online. Okay, so if we go, what is online parenting? So online parenting is today's topic, and it's the role that parents need to be taking to protect their children online. We need to be blocking inappropriate content. We need to be teaching our kids about how to be safe and responsible online. And we need to be keeping an eye on the device use that our teenagers are using, right? And we need to know that we didn't get handed any handbooks with this, right? The last generation grew up in a whole different environment. When we were teenagers, we didn't have phones in our pockets. So we need to skill up so that we know how to protect our kids, because our children are currently trying to figure it out. So we need to help them do that. Okay, so we're going to start talking to Chris McKenna. Now, Chris McKenna is an absolute legend in the digital well-being space. He's the founder of Protect Young Eyes, a US-based NGO that has made a simple and super important mission to show families, schools, and churches how to create safer digital spaces. So he's the perfect guy to talk to about this. And we need to make sure that it's not just our opinion, that it is other people around the world talking about this. And Chris is a man with never-ending energy. We've had so many conversations, him and I. We both have a similar story of early exposure to pornography, and that's why we're so driven in our missions to protect children. And he has never-ending energy when it comes to fighting and advocating for the safety and protection of children. He practices his internet safety tips on his 4 amazing children. You can see them in the photo there. He's a dad, so he knows what he's talking about, and is regularly featured on the news, radio, podcasts in the US. He actually presented to the US Senate and was instrumental in getting some new legislation passed in the States, some of which hopefully we'll get in South Africa soon. So I interviewed Chris last week, and we cut together all the best bits that we're going to watch together, and I'm going to comment on certain things that he talks about. And then I'm going to be summarizing what he speaks about in 3 different little segments that we're going to spend the next about 15 to 18 minutes on, and then we're going to have a time to deal with any Q&A that's really, really, reflecting what the needs are of everyone here today. So he's going to cover 3 big areas of digital parenting: digital trust, tech in the home, and talking to our kids. And don't worry, you'll be able to watch a recording. It's going to be up on the Mental Health Hub, and we will summarize each section as we go. And if you've signed up for our newsletter, we'll get you updates on all the software that he talks about and all the rest that he mentions. So let's jump into hearing Chris talk about how we build this thing called digital trust.
So at the very bottom, sort of that foundation that everything else sits on is relationships. There's going to be different contexts for that because of cultural nuances and so forth. But whether you're a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, anybody, to be looking for opportunities to build what we call digital trust. And so as a result of the presentations that we've done and thousands of conversations with adults all over the world, we've noticed that families who have young people who make good, positive choices online tend to do certain things persistently and consistently. And how
I love that idea of persistent and consistent, and that's what it's going to take, guys. There's no magic bullet. This one webinar is not going to change everything. It's going to give you that first step, and hopefully it's not the first step you've taken. If it is, welcome to digital parenting. If it's not, don't worry. We're going to be partnering with you all the way through to make sure that you can keep protecting your children online. So let's hear more of what Chris has to say.
How they raise their children. So the digital trust framework, 5 words. The first one is to copy me. That's that modeling that's so important, where what I do online is most often one of the most significant impacts in how my children acquire technology. In fact, when you look at the different studies, whether it's from the World Health Organization or here in the States, pediatric societies, the one thing that they all have in common is them saying that how the adults in the lives of young people use technology is one of the top three biggest impacts that are showing our young people how to use technology. And there was even a fascinating article that was published here during the pandemic through the USA Today, which referred to parent screen time as the new secondhand smoke, that I thought was a really powerful illustration for when we put the screen between my face and the face of my son or daughter, especially during their very young primary years. I'm actually not just robbing them of my attention, but I'm robbing them of developmental opportunities to interact with another human being. The second part of the framework is co-play, right? This is the pro technology.
That I just want to pick up on that because it's such an important point as we go into the second aspect of his digital trust framework. You know, that copy me, we see time and again that there was another study done actually that a children's ability to self-regulate is directly related to the parental relationship and how they manage conflict, how they manage their own use, and the actions that parents take. So I love that idea of secondhand smoke being this digital use that we have. And we have to understand that there's an opportunity cost to every moment. And I get it. I'm a dad myself. I know when I'm on my phone and my baby's tugging on my leg, it pulls at my heartstrings because I know that's a moment that I could be helping my child develop. So let's hear a little bit more from Chris.
Beside them, playing the video games that they love with them. Even if you're horrible at them like I do, that's a great time. Ask them conversations. My sons, when their thumbs start moving, their mouth starts to move. There's something about that motion that I find to be really almost like an accelerant for their conversations. So from there, we get into a posture of our parenting, and that is a posture of curiosity. So copy me, co-play, and then curiosity. I want us to be more curious than condemning when it comes to how our young people are using technology. We don't have to understand it. We don't even have to love it, but to ask them curious questions, because there's a lot that you can learn about the young people that you care for just by understanding better what they tap on and why they tap on it. The fourth part of the framework is conversation, talking about all the things that nobody talked to me and you about when we were growing up. Because if we don't, the alternatives are for them to listen to the voices of Dr. TikTok, Dr. WhatsApp, Dr. YouTube, Dr. whatever, and they have a very consistent voice that we need to interrupt from time to time with our perspective on things to put that in perspective. And finally,
I love that idea that our children are talking to adults. They are learning about the world from adults. So if they are talking to adults on their phones, whether it's recorded or live or stranger contact, the fact is that the parents, the adults in your child's life, whether they're in person, in your home, or on your device, are the ones that are teaching them about the world. And this is so, so crucial.
Is coaching, not parental control, but caring control. There's something that I just really don't like about that phrase, parental controls. And I know that's what we call the software that's out there, and that's, for search engine purposes, that's of course what Google calls it, and that's what it is. I mean, imagine the 14-year-old version of yourself and your parent coming to you and saying, "Hey, I've got a great idea. I'm going to implement something called parental control. Are you with me?" Right? I mean, I think that phrase, unfortunately, automatically sets us up for a me versus you exchange instead of a me with you exchange. And so whatever we can do to minimize that sort of control perspective on it and instead see ourselves more as cheerleaders, and we want them to learn how to use social media and to use their smartphone well and responsibly. That's our goal, not to just control them, because that doesn't teach them anything.
Wasn't that so interesting? So I'm going to just summarize quickly what Chris was talking about there with his digital trust framework. And again, there's going to be a recording, there's going to be lots more support, so don't feel like you got to scribble all this down right now. Copy me. Your children are going to be following your modeling, so we've got to be more aware of our own device usage. Co-play. My niece lives in Vancouver, and we struggle to have conversations on the phone, but when we play Minecraft together, we can sit for an hour and a half chatting about school and about everything else. So get used to playing these games with your kids. Get all the apps that they're using to try and get into their digital world. Curiosity, ask those curious questions and be more curious than condemning. Definitely conversation. We've got to talk. And remember, it's doing something with them. It's not doing something against them. And then coaching. We got to be empowering them to make these choices, because when they leave home, if they don't have the ability to make these good choices, there's nothing we can do. So it's not about controlling them. It's about coaching them. So let's hear a little bit more about how this translates into actual technology. So we've got this kind of parenting stuff, but now what do we do about the technology in our homes, these actual devices? Let's hear again from Chris and see what he says about that.
It might be. And from there, we're going to a spot that is often ignored and overlooked, and that is the Wi-Fi layer. We want to embrace that router that may be in the home. Now, I know in different areas of the world depend more on just the device, right? We're often connected to a cellular network, but there are homes and places where instead we are connected to the wireless signal that exists in that place, maybe in a school or wherever it might be. And I just think we often underappreciate the potential in having controls around just that wireless network whenever possible. Here, for example, in my home, Josh, we have horrible cellular signal. Therefore, the only way for us to be online is with the wireless network. Therefore, for me to have the router have strong parental controls on it is really important, so that I know, when a new device tries to attach. My kid from time to time will bring home a Chromebook from school, and then they'll be using it for things that I'm not aware of. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Don't you have something in place that alerts you to whenever a new device connects to your home network? And they're like, no, I didn't know about that. I'm like, well, right there is a way at the source to understand, do they have a burner phone, which is quite common, where there's some alternative device that mom or dad isn't aware of, but because they're not paying for the service on it, that device often depends, a secret device often depends on a wireless network, because that's a free way to use the internet. The best way to defend against that sort of thing is to have some sort of alert on. We use Griffin, which doesn't exist in every country, but it's what we use to, defend the McKenna family from those kinds of dangers. So that's at that wireless, right on top of the relationships. Let's get that network in check. The third one then is the devices, right? Because they're not always connected to that wireless network, right? And so we find some service, and devices come, right? iPhones, Android devices, they have free parental settings that can be put in place, whether it's screen time or family link.
I got the shock of my life when I started monitoring my own screen time, and I really recommend that you guys do this, not only for your kids but for yourselves. So use screen time on iPhone, and use Family Link or Digital Wellbeing on Android to get an idea of your own screen time. We see on average South Africans are checking their phones 85 times a day and spending more than 5 hours on their mobile devices. So if you're not managing and monitoring your own screen time, there's no chance that you're going to be managing and monitoring your children's. Let's hear a little bit more from Chris.
We have all kinds of explanations about those things. But then you could also look at software. Bark, a great example, which I know you have a partnership with, as we do. How wonderful to bring that service in, because their specialty are mobile devices. And when a young person finds themselves in the edges, be it with digital edges or maybe risks that they're taking, that's when we want to get involved. That's when we want to intercede. And that's exactly what Bark allows them to do. Fourth layer then is the location. Where we use technology has a really big impact on how we use technology. And I think that that's true for both young people and adults, right? Just about anything in a dark place where you're bored with technology at night is justifiable. Everything seems automatically like a better idea when you're surrounded by certain locational variables. And we often find bedrooms, darkness, and boredom to be what we call the toxic trio when it comes to digital interaction. And
Guys, I just want to pick up on that because it is one of the easiest ways to make a significant difference in your children's lives. What we saw in the stats from the beginning is that the majority of kids have access to their phones at night, the majority of cyberbullying happens late at night, and the majority of kids don't have parental control on their phones. So that is where this harm is really happening. Get those devices out of your children's bedrooms at night.
that's both us and them, right? And so if we're going to say to our young people, hey, keep your technology out of the bedroom, then going back to that copy me part of digital trust, then we probably need to do the same thing too. So just being aware of some of those locations that can create risk. And then finally, in-app parental controls, just because there often aren't very many. There's really none inside of Snapchat. There's none inside of Instagram, which are really big here in the States. There are very few inside of WhatsApp. There are very few that you can lock in inside of YouTube. They have a lot of parental suggestions, but not much that you can parental control if you want to actually lock things in. And so there are some in-app options, but they just shouldn't be depended upon as the way to keep our kids safe.
Wow, guys, a lot in there. Again, let's summarize what he had to say. He's talking about not only do we need to be changing our parenting approach, but we've also got technology at our fingertips that can really help us, right? So at the wireless network, you've got to have some filter of the content that's coming in. If you are signed up to our newsletter, we'll send you a link for Griffin. You can check it out. It's a really great router. I've got one in my house here. And then on the device level, we're wanting to use Screen Time for iPhone and Google Family Link for Android to get those parental controls set up with your child's phone. We sometimes see that there's an issue where parents and children have different phones, one iPhone, one Android, and we generally recommend that Android are going to be the best phones for your children because you get more control out of them. Bark is this amazing parental control that we have partnered with to bring into South Africa. And again, if you're on our newsletter, we'll send you a link. We've got a discount for them as well. And then, of course, the location. Where are we using these devices? I mentioned it in the last segment, but bedrooms at night, terrible place. That's where the vultures swoop in and cyberbullying is its worst. And then, of course, app and device settings. Again, we've got a whole webinar on this. If you are interested, we're running one later today on Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok, but we'll be running a discovery one as well, talking to Emma Sadlier about social media and what we can do about it. Okay, so from here, we're now going to start, really getting into the practical side of how do we talk to our kids about this. Let's hear what Chris has to say about talking to our kids and how we approach this conversation. What do we do next? Help us, Chris.
What I don't want them to do, if I could maybe offer that side of it first, is what I don't want them to do is to respond in fear and smash the device. I don't want that to be where this leads to. What I'm guessing that a conversation or a video like this leads to are some fears. Why? Because we've awakened some new understandings about technology in some way. What often happens is you watch a video like this and all of a sudden you have a mental list of all the ways in which you're failing. And that often leads to a more fear-based response. And that's not healthy. What I would love for parents to instead do with that is to take all of those things that maybe they're afraid of and actually turn that into conversation starters with their sons and daughters. To maybe literally say to them, I just watched a video that, boy, really taught me some new things as it pertains to technology. And even though I want you, son or daughter of mine, to believe that I'm perfect and I do everything right, what this video did to me is it actually pointed to a lot of things that I haven't done really well. Now, here's my promise to you. I'm not going to freak out. 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 And instead, here are the things, and kind of list them out, that I am not sure about or am afraid of when it comes to technology. Is there something in here that we can do together? What are your ideas for helping me get over some of these apprehensions? Remember, I said I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to take your phone away. I gave it to you. I'm not going to take your favorite app away. I gave it to you. But now I'm wondering, as your parent who I care and love for you deeply, what are some ways in which I can support you to be awesome on that?
I just love that idea that we don't have to be perfect parents. We can literally just say to our kids, tell them the truth. I watched a video and now things have changed, and we have to respond to that. We have to, we have to just talk to our kids and just say, listen, I watched a video and now, I need to do something about it, and let's do this together. I really like that idea of working with our kids.
Phone, to be better on that app, to avoid these things on that app, so that as your parent, I can ensure that, you are as healthy and productive and sane and safe in that app as possible. And so instead of that fear turning into a negative response, I want that to turn into a conversation starter for our young people. And then just take it one step at a time. That would be step 2. If you're saying, oh, I don't have parental controls, I don't have, I don't use Bark, I don't have Griffin, all this stuff, just pick one. Just pick one step. And if that one step still doesn't seem tenable or possible, then ask your son or daughter to help you with it. If you don't know how to install a new router, like you look at the router and it automatically makes your heart rate go up, then find a 13-year-old and say, hey, can you help me install this thing? And then change the password when they walk away. But invite them into that as maybe a step 2 on the technical side for the places that they're just not sure where to go.
There's so much great advice in that last little bit. And even though we've got just 3 or 4 minutes left, talking to our kids is so important, and in an age-appropriate way. If your kids are older, try and get them on board with you. If they're younger, they're not going to understand it, so just tell them how it is. Don't freak out. One of the big reasons that children don't disclose online harm to their parents is that they're scared their phones are going to get taken away. Help them understand that you are going to be walking with them along this journey. And just start with one thing, guys. Just start with one thing. Okay, so as we get to the end of this now, I'm going to ask you guys to join me in doing a poll. I'm going to post it into the chat. You can either use the link there, or you can go to slido.com and enter that code, or just grab your phone and take a picture or put this QR code on your camera. What it's going to do is it's going to take you through to a poll, and so that we can start to see what our steps are going to be together. The other reason that I want you to do it is so that you get the Discovery Health Mental Health Hub link onto your phone. So in the app that we're going to be using for the poll, you can then click on a link that'll take you straight to that mental health hub on your phone. And remember, you're going to be wanting to check out this hub every single day, because there's going to be updates every day. When you're standing in the line at the bank, when you are waiting for your kids to pick up your phone, go and look at that mental health hub and go and see what you can do about it, okay? Because all the resources are there, and we're going to partner with you. Discovery and Be in Touch are going to be with you the whole way. Okay, so we're getting some votes come in, so let's just look at what people are going to be doing, which is just so amazing. I just love the fact that we've got active parents out there. 75% of you guys are going to set up some parental filters. Again, get onto our newsletter. We're going to send you those links to get you some discounts on Bark. And then, of course, for Griffin, we'll get you that link as well. Changing app settings, 38% of you. Talking to your kids, 65%. That's awesome. And these are just the first steps, guys. It's just amazing, the steps that are going to be taken. Getting those devices out of bedrooms at night, 40%. Okay, guys, I'm hoping that's not just an indication of what's going to happen, but who's actually going to do that first. So I would say talking to your kids and getting those devices out are easy wins, but then all of these steps are important. So it's a bit of a trick question because we're hoping that you'll do all of them. Okay, so I'm going to lock that down, guys. Really awesome to see those results coming in there. And you can just direct your attention back to the screen. As I said, we've got so many resources on the Mental Health Hub that we really want to be sharing with you. Sign up to the newsletter. We'll get you that discount for Bark. You'll get access to Griffin, latest trends, practical tips, and we'll help you be an awesome, aware online parent. And then if you do nothing else in the next 15 minutes, remember, go back to that Mental Health Hub, head over to the Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok webinar that we'll be launching on the 1st of December, 8 a.m. next week, this time, where we'll be chatting with Emma Sadlier about what she sees kids getting into on their smartphones and with social media. We'll be exploring what you can do about it to maximize the good and manage the bad and ugly of these popular social media apps. And remember, it takes a digital village to raise a digital child, and your child is only as safe as the least informed adult in your digital village. So share wide and share far. Let's get every parent involved in this, every caregiver involved in this to protect our kids online. I want to thank you so much for spending your time with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week, 8 a.m., 1st of December, talking about Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you so much.